Recording is on.
It's alright. So last week we had a number of challenges with with the network, so couldn't cover much. So we want to continue from where we stopped, if I am not mistaken. Let me zoom in. Let me zoom out. Now I think we stopped around flashy field also. Let me confirm. Let's remove duplicate. Yeah. So we are talking about flashy field and the network started disturbing. That is the exercise for flashy feeling. So we will continue with it today. Now, please, in case the network kicks me out like the other time, and these days MTN somehow is misbehaving. So just maybe message me on WhatsApp or a call will help on WhatsApp. So now we'll continue with this exercise, flashy feeling in Excel. Now, with the objective here is to clean and simplify lookup sheet by combining first and last name into single column using flashy fill. Nevertheless, I wanted us to continue these exercises directly from data camp. It will help us to be faster. Anything I need to explain from the note, I will explain. The note is majorly to serve as a guide for learners to go through. So I this data preparation in Excel for data camp. If I go to flashy field, that is in chapter 1, I think. Yeah, chapter 1. Is it chapter 1? Yes. So we finished the duping, that is duplicating, removing of duplicated data. Now, opening the flashy field exercise, the background says when preparing your dataset, keep track of how large the file size will be and how easy it is to read and view the data when looking at sheets is important. So the lookup sheet help make make the file more efficient and readable, as you can reduce the number of columns in just one sheet. However, better ways exist to display the information in these lookup sheets. This might be a good time to use Excel field features. So we're using the exercise workbook file 1_3 flashy filling. Now, I believe you should still have the workbook folder. So if you open to your workbook folder, like I have here, I don't know where you saved yours. Mine is inside here. If I open Introduction to Excel, no, sorry, data preparation in Excel. That's what we're dealing with at the moment. Exercise and data sets. I have my own book. So we have flashy field here, 1_3. So if I open it, I should have this. Okay, sorry, I have two data sets. Let me close this one. So this is it. Now, there is an instruction or warning that if there is external data connection having the 7 message, we should just click enable content. So you will see it from time to time, but it's not showing in this case. But in case you see it in your own, just click enable content. So now the instruction is as follows. If you do not have, if you not already have it selected, navigate to customer tab. So simply we are working with the customer tab. The sheet opened in others tab, so just click the customer tab to navigate there. Then next on the instruction is that Okay, but meanwhile, let me from the note give overview of what our target. Where is it? Sorry. Okay. Now, the objective here is to clean and simplify a lookup sheet by combining first and last names into a single column using flashy fill. Sometimes that is also done with concatenating. You are trying to, first name is in one column and the last name is in another column. So you can use concatenate to solve the problem. But sometimes flashy fill can help you out most times. So that's what we are trying to achieve here. So um, so we currently have the first and last names of the customers split into two columns. That is customer F name, that is customer first name, and customer L name, meaning customer last name, as we have it on the table. So you can see customer L name, and we can see customer F name. So this is first name, while this is last name. So, but this information could easily be in one column. There are cases where you prefer it to be in separate columns. So, but depending on what you want to do, you may want it to be in one column. So that's what we are looking at the moment. So allowing us to reduce the number of columns in our lookup sheet. Um, if you advance your career to data science, and let's say you're building a machine learning model, and you are not dealing with data sets that the column is wide. Too much wide data set will give you a cardinality problem. So having columns like this that can be merged into one will contribute in solving the problem of that is the cardinality problem. That is you having so many columns. Now, this information, like I've gone through now, the instructions say create a new column to the right of customer name called full name. So all I need, I just want to copy this full name. I not copy it completely. So at the right of customer name, I want to have full name. All I need is to click. This is the sorry. At the right of customer L name. So all I need is to go to the front in the column after customer L name, which is customer segment. Right click on it and I click select. I mean insert. So until I click insert, I have a new column in front of the L name because insert by default will insert for you behind, that is behind the column you selected. And what we needed is a column after customer L name. This is as a 2021. I think in one of the classes I've made mention of everyone the necessity of everyone upgrading his or her office into anything modern, that is anything beyond 2021. Because recently I noticed that Microsoft did some updates and removed the number of formulas in 2021. So you can find them in the latest version of Office or any version that is above 2021. So even though I've not done mine, I was facing some challenges in doing that, which I'll still do. So, but meanwhile, if we encounter such formulas, you can readily make do with the Excel online, the online Excel. And in online Excel, what made me to talk about this is that by the time you right click, this insert, you have about three options to insert either to the left or right, something like that. So, but in this case, once you click insert, you will now be having your column created right behind the column you selected. And now we are told that this new column should be full name. So let me add the E. I want to format it to be the same color with other column headers. All I need is to click on one of the column header that is already formatted and I click on format painter. What this format painter does is to copy the formatting of whatever you have clicked on. So this place I click on now, which is a customer L name header, I have copied the formatting now as soon as I click on format painter. So anywhere, and if you watch, you are see you see something like look like brush with a plus icon. So that brush is as if you have copied a paint that you want to use to paint somewhere. So if you just drop it on any cell, you have painted that cell with the formatting that you picked from customer LNM. So I want to format to paint the full name header column, that's the header with the format I copied from customer LNM. So I just click on it and that is done. So it has copied the formatting on the customer LNM to that of full name. So now what we want to do next is for the first two rows of the new column, enter the customer full name according to the data you can see in the relevant column. So we want to display the first and last names separated by a space in your new column. So what are we saying? We have customer first name here and we have customer L name here. And then this is Brenda, Jordan, and then Frank Livingstone. So we want to put the both of them here separated with space. So if you do that, you have Brenda, Jordan. And if you go to the next one, you have, so if immediately you type Frank, okay, let me use capital F. Immediately you type Frank, you can see it automatically filled it for you or suggested to fill it for you. So that is what we are talking about when you're using flashy fill. So it's suggested to do the flashy fill automatically. So if you just click enter now, what happened here is that Excel detected that you you are trying to combine the first name and the last name because the first cell you entered Brenda and Jordan, and then the second cell you are now entering Frank. So it detected that it seems that you are trying to combine customer F name and customer L name. So once I click enter now, it will automatically fill everything for me. But let's assume that is not done. Let me undo. I can do that manually by going to fill under editing group, under the editing section. If we select the drop down arrow in that field, on that field you see flash fill, flash fill. So if I click on the flash fill, it will do the same thing for me to automatically fill every other thing. So it's a very good way for you to concatenate two columns. I believe we are together.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now the next instruction says now using the exact flash if feature which we have just done, ensure that this that is populated, review the column, and if you are happy with the suggestion, accept them. Ensure that all entries are fully visible, which we just did. So now that we have the full name, remove the two redundant columns from the sheet. So we go to the sheet, the other ones, we don't need them, the customer F name and customer L name. If I right click and click delete, select delete, and it's gone. So I have just the full name. So the number of columns we have in our sheet have reduced. So I click next. The question, we have a question to answer to verify whether we did the correct thing. The question says, what is the customer ID for Water Prince? Customer ID for Walter Prince. Who is Walter Prince? Well, if you can't find Walter Prince, just press Control F, and type Walter and search. Let's say find all. Okay, what we're looking for is Walter Prince. So let me find all. So Walter Prince is here. So the question says, what is the customer ID for Water Prince. So we are having what 1,667 as a customer ID. Of course, you know the first column is the customer ID. So 1,000, okay, sorry, 10,667. So, and if you, if you come to our data camp, we'll have it here as the answer because I've done this before on this particular page. So if you are there with your own account, just click submit and we'll go to the next exercise. So if you come to the note, all of this is what we just did. We open this, we enabled, click enable to allow any blur feature, go to customer sheet, insert full name, and then we use the Excel flashy filling to get the two first name and last name column together. So, which you can also achieve with Control E. So we review and resize the column. So now next, and then deleted the customer F name and L name. So next, we want to look at series filling in Excel. So the target here is to create a continuous date range using Excel field series feature, which is especially useful when you don't have an existing pattern for Excel to auto detect or to auto detect, unlike Flash fill. This technique helps in building lookup type tables, particularly for preparing date-based data. So the point here is that we want to use series filling to solve the problem that flashy filling cannot solve. So flashy filling detects a pattern, and while the series filling works this time around with dates like uh, columns, because your date, you can increment your date by maybe day or weeks or whatever. So, so with the help of series filling, you can easily type one date and populate the remaining one based on a particular step. So now back to the data camp. The background says you use flashy fill to populate a column in Excel easily. But what if you haven't got existing data that can be used to find a pattern? The field series feature of Excel can help here. You might have seen that the other sheet has a date column present. It is good practice to create a date lookup sheet that you can use for date preparation later on. Now, sorry for data, sorry, yes, for date preparation later on. What we are saying here is that most often, especially when you begin Power BI, it is always safer for you to work with a different table that is just containing your date data, a different table. In this case now, we say a different sheet, so that containing just your date information that you can relate it with other tables. It helps for consistency and avoid missing dates. So that's what we're trying to achieve here, even though there is already other dates. So the first instruction says, but before then, we are continuing with the Excel file 1_4 series filling, even though it's a continuation of what we have here. But most often, I prefer to open a fresh one instead of continuing with what I have here. Now, so excuse me. So I have 1_4 series filling. So if I open it, I have this. So there is others here, and in other sheet there is other dates. So what we are trying to say, even though we have other dates, we may want to create a different sheet. So navigate to the others tab, which we have done. You have a column called other date that shows the dates the order was placed with data code from 2015 to 2018. So you might eventually want to add more date information to help with your analysis. And the lookup sheet will be useful for this. I've explained the reason for that. So you can readily create a different table, and this time around a different lookup sheet to solve the problem of dates. Now, So we create a new sheet called dates. I just click the plus sign here and I have a new sheet and I double click on it to change the name dates. And then next, I ensure that your new sheet will initially have one column. Ensure that your new sheet will initially have one column. So the column will be what? Date. And we'll need to format the header in line with the other sheets. And in the first cell below the header, enter 1st January 2015 displayed in date format of MDYYY. That is a month, day, year. And the year will be formatted as 4 digits. So to do that, we come up here and just type dates as the header of the column. So we want to make it to be formatted in this particular format. But even though there's an instruction here that we should ensure we should format the header in line with the other sheets. So one of the things that can be done is to come to this place while you are on other dates, format painter, go to dates and put it here. So it has taken the format that the other one was having. So now, but in case you don't have access to do something like that, just click on that column and then this drop down arrow on number section. The drop down arrow on the number section. You click on it so you see number formatting. So if you click on it, you have this and then select the date column. When you select the date option and then you're having something like different option. Because the first option there is saying 3/14/2012. So that 14 there, which is more than 12, indicates that 14 is representing day. And from the instruction, it should be month, day, year. So we are in the right track. So this is the right date format. So if you just click OK and select it, you have actually formatted the whole of that column in this format that is requested. So next, excuse me. So next, and on the instruction is that using the advanced field series feature, populate the date column to show all dates from 1st January 2025 to 31st December 2018, ensuring that every calendar day is included in the range. So the instruction now is simply saying that we should now populate this date that we have just created, the date column. Let me make the header to be bold. Now let me add the normal color like in other ones. So now the idea now is that we should enter the first date, which is what? Excuse me, let me confirm something. So the first date we should enter is what? 1st January 2015. That is in previous instruction. 1st January 2015. So I type 1/1/2015 to solve our problem. So having done that, now we want to fill this column with dates ranging from that 1st January 2015 to 31st December 2018. So to do that, we want to use what? Fill series. So if you come up here, while you're on this, while you're still on home tab, click on fill and then you see series. What we used last time was flash fill. So now we need a series. So if you click on the series, now the instructions say we should ensure that that every calendar day is included in the range. It means that the step we want the filling to take is daily. You can decide to make it weekly, but in this case, we want it daily. So every day. So now, in this pop-up we have now, the series we are working with is actually a column. So you select column. By default, it comes on rows. So you select column. Then now step value, first of all, then now the type is what? Date, which is default selected by default. Now date unit we are working with is day. If you want to work with weekday, select this month, you select this year, select. So we're working with day. Now the step value, what is the step you want it to count? Since it's all the days between this range, so we type 1, which you have it there by default. So our stop value is where we want the date to stop. So if you come up here and you can see that we have 31st December 2018. So I just type it considering the same format. So I say 12 days, 30, is it 30 or 31st? Excuse me. So I have 31st there, 31st, and then 2018. So once I have this and I click OK, the rest of my problem is solved. Remember, if you want to get the correct width of all your columns, just come to the line dividing two columns while it's showing plus while your cursor is showing plus icon, and double click on it and it will just give you the the width that is well fitted for that column, not just that column, for all the columns in the case you have when you have multiple columns in your data set. Of course, because it was not, let me undo. It was because the width is not enough. That is why it's showing this hash, 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 hash. So yeah, the hash there is not actually an error. It's due to the width. So like I've done before, if I double click on this line here, separating the column between A and B, it will just give me the correct width that we accommodate the whole data in that date column. So we have done that. Now we have a question to answer to verify whether we did the correct thing. By highlighting the whole date column, determine how many values there are. So if you highlight it, you will have here on this status bar, it is showing you what? Count 1462. So we have it that the not say how many values are there. So the values we have is 1462. So if I click submit, so we got all the step correctly. Is that okay? So let me click continue. Now this is taking us to the next lesson. Hope we are there. I don't know if there's any question. If there is, please unmute yourself. If you have any question, please unmute yourself based on what we just completed. Okay. Or if you can't unmute, you drop it in the chat section. Now, next, let me go to the notes. Let me zoom. So, next, these are the exercises we just completed. So if you follow the instruction, you still arrive at the same result. Using text and date functions in Excel is our next topic. So in this lesson, we want to learn how to apply date functions and date and time functions. Sorry, text functions and then date and time function in Excel to help with data preparation. So sometimes you need to manipulate your text. So that's why we need the text functions. So we have a text function, we have a numerical function and date functions and all that. So date is for manipulating dates. So in Excel to help with data preparation, these functions are used for cleaning, transforming, or extracting specific values from your data set. So now text function, the first we have is the len function. What does len function help you to do? It's just to count how many character that is in your text, and it takes just one argument, and that is the text you want it to count how many character. So sometimes if you're not inputting the text, hard coding the text, that is like let's say data camp. You put data camp inside in quotation mark for you to count the characters in data camp. You may decide to just click the cell where you have written data camp on it. So the cell or string you want to measure is the text. That's what we're trying to say. So it's either you are putting in the text directly, which is the string, or you select the cell where the string is. So that is what the argument, the len function takes. Like I said, it simply counts how many characters. Now, um, the len here, example we have here is if A2 is containing Obina n dots, the result will be what? 9. If we say len A. So that is because we have O as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the space 7, then n is 8, then full stop is 9. So it's counting also the space and every punctuation mark, except the quotation mark, which is the normal identity for string. So anytime you're putting string, you always put in quotation mark. So it's not part of your character, it's just part of a way of identifying string in Excel and even in other some programming languages. Now, where can you use this? You want to use it to check for trailing spaces or validate that phone number have the correct length. So let's say you have a column that is used to collect the phone numbers of participants or customers or wherever. Now, we want to make sure that for us here in Nigeria, we have about 11 digits in our phone number. I don't know whether that is international standard anyway. Now, and then you want to confirm that the whole phone number there is actually 11, you can simply use a len to count. And then you want to check for trailing or leading spaces. Now, what we mean by trailing or leading spaces are the spaces that is behind and before a character. Somebody can type his name, and then while typing it, he mistakenly put space before he started typing, or after typing he mistakenly put space after typing. That is an error in your data set. When you begin your analysis, it will not give you correct results because there is space before or space after. So one of the ways you can easily use to verify if let's assume that your that column is supposed to contain a particular number of character. Let's say it just contain, for instance, the abbreviation of country in a particular column is containing just 3 characters. And then you notice that when you try to select a particular country, you're not getting the number of values you want. Now, by the time you check the length of the characters in that column, you discover that some may be more than 3, even though you are seeing it that is 3 characters all through. That is because there is hidden spaces that you are not seeing, except you look well before you can see them. So you can use len to verify that. Now we have concat function. Concat is to join 2 or more text string into one. So you have text 1, text 2. So concat take as many text arguments separated with commas. So you want to concat, for instance, text 1, text 2, or you just need to put text 1, comma, text 2, and then you can put so on and so forth. Comma, just separating them with comma. Note, there is no automatic delimiter added. So if you're concatenating, it will just join everything for you. It will not put where there's supposed to be space there, it will not put it for you. Where you want to have an hyphen, it will not put it for you. So in that case, you may want to strategically solve the problem. Like in this example, we want to concat A2, B2, C2, where inside A2, what is inside A2 is 1, 2, 3, and is there as a string. And what is inside B2, of course, is there as a string because you are seeing quotation mark. Now, B2, what is inside B2 is men, which is a string, and C2, what is inside it is what street. So by the time you concat like this, it will just give you 1, 2, 3 main streets, which is not actually very okay. So if you want to solve that problem that there is no space in between 1, 2, 3 and after men, just after 1, 2, 3 in A2, you put space, and after men you put what? Space, and it will just create space after 1, 2, 3, and after men it will create the space as well. So you can use it to merge multiple address components into a single cell. Let's say you have an address splitted into different cells, which is useful sometimes, or in fact most times. For instance, you have the location in one column, the city in another column, the the state in another column, the country in another column, and then the postal code as well in another column. It is useful in that way when you want to analyze country or state, or group country, group data by country or state. But sometimes you just want to, merge all of them. So in that case, you can use concat to do that. Now you also have text join function. Uh, Text join function works like concat, but it gives you a, an improved function, an improved feature. That is by adding delimiter and ignore empty parameter. What does that mean? I want to confirm, hope we are still there. Now, what does that supposed to mean? Delimiter here is that you are indicating what delimiter you want to be used to separate each text. So, a delimiter could be space or hyphen. So maybe you want each text to be separated with an hyphen, you indicate it as delimiter, and make sure you are putting it inside the quotation mark. If you want space to be your delimiter, then you just put space inside quotation mark as the first parameter. Then ignore empty takes in either true or false. If you say true, it will skip empty cells. If you say false, it will include them. What does that mean? If that column, the columns that you are trying to join contains empty cells, and you don't want Excel to have anything to do with those columns, just put false. I mean, just put true rather. It will skip those empty cells for you. But if you want it to include those empty cells, just say false as your second parameter. What it will do is that it will include the empty cells. Then the next is the text that you want to join, as many texts as possible. So text 1, text 2, text 3, all of them separated by comma. We have an example here in the where we are having in the previous example where we say, where is it again? In concat, when we have 1, 2, 3 in A2, men in B2, C2 is street. Now you can use text join to solve that problem of no space, even though we did it manually in concat. So if we do that, we can now, in this case, we are using hyphen to separate A2 from B2 and from what? C2. And the second parameter true because we want it to skip the empty cells as we have as ignore empty cell parameter here. So if you do that, you now be having one, two, um this result is having an issue. It's supposed to be one, two, three hyphy men hyphy streets. It's okay. Except main street has already been joined. So now date and time function, what are they? The date and time function, you use it in manipulating dates. Number one in the list is today function. Today function doesn't take any parameter. What it does is to return the current date for you automatically. So if you say today and put quotation, I mean it puts open and close bracket, it will just give you the current dates. Current date. Now it doesn't take any arguments. Example here will say today, it will just give you as at when this was done, it gave 30th of the 7th month, July 2025, depending on the date that you are trying it. So you use it to show the last updated date on your report. So you may have a date column that you want to be created every day as a report is being made. So populating each date's record, you can just use today to get the date for the date column. So it will just extract that today for you immediately. Now weekday function, what does it do? It returns a number representing the day of the week for a given date. Now it takes into parameter. So you state, excuse me, don't mind this. So we say the syntax is simply say equal to weekday. Now the weekday takes in the serial number and then the return type. So the serial number is simply the date column, while the return type is asking you should to return which of the day as the first day, and is optional. Now take note in Excel, I think I've said it before. Any parameter that is inside square brackets, that is when you are seeing the syntax and it is written inside a square bracket like this one, return type. Just know that that parameter is optional. You can decide to remove it, you can decide to put it. Your function formula will still work, but it's based on what you want to achieve. So let's assume you don't want Sunday to be your first day of the week. So what this return type does is that instead of you putting one, you put two. So your first day of the week will become Monday. So that's what happens here. So return type, which is optional, controls what day is considered the first day of the week. So if you put one, Sunday will become the first day of the week. If you put two, Monday will become first day of the week. If you put three, uh, um, that should be Tuesday. That should be Tuesday rather, and so on and so forth. Now, so what will happen here, like we say weekday, it returns a number. So if by the time you do that, zero will always represent Sunday and one will represent Monday. But mind you, this return type is simply to choose which day that is the first day of the week. Idea. Now, in this example, weekday A2, comma 2, you are simply saying that you want what is inside A2 is what 7:30:20:25. Now you want uh, uh, second the second day to be the first day of the week. Now, which is Monday. So what it will now count for you is because this particular date, 30th of July 2025 is Wednesday. So it will just count Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That is three. So that is 3 days. That is the third day, weekday. Now, use case, you can use it to analyze which day delivers which days deliveries or sales occur most often. So you can just use it to identify a particular day by number. Now, workday function. What does workday function do for you? Workday function returns a future or past date by skipping weekends and optional holidays. So the workday function simply try to give you the working days you have between a particular date range. So you give it a date range from so date to so date, it will extract the working days for you, excluding the weekends. Now you can see there is optional parameter holidays. So the holidays parameter is if you have any holiday you want it to skip, like 1st October, you indicate it, you put all the dates that are holidays in a range and insert it there. So it will not count all those holiday dates. Now, how many days? That's the second parameter. How many days do you want it to count for you? Number of working days to add or subtract with negative numbers. So the second parameter takes in how many working days you want to extract from this start date. So if you give it a start date, you tell it how many working days you want me to extract, and then is there any holiday you want me to skip apart from the weekends? You indicate if there is any. If there is none, you leave it. That is why it is optional. Now we have an example here. You can now say work day. This is the start date. And you want 10 working days. And then if the data in D2 to D5 is holiday, they are all holidays. So it will just simply skip these dates that are inside D2 to D5 and give you 10 working days. Is that okay? Now, it's simply saying if the date is this, D2, D5 contain holidays, it will return the date 10 working days later, skipping weekends and the holidays you mentioned in the range between D2 and D5. So where do you use this? You use it to calculate project timelines or delivery schedules. So project timelines, which are usually project are done work days. And then delivery schedule, you can use it to determine how many work days it will take for a delivery to be completed. Now, we have our exercise workbook. Okay, sorry, not yet in exercise. The fourth part of this lesson, workbook protection. Now, sometimes if you finish whatever you are doing in your Excel, you may decide to lock your sheet or your workbook. So locking it in such a way that users will not be able to change what you don't want them to change. So when sharing Excel files, you can apply protection to prevent accidental edits or secure sensitive data. So there are sensitive data you don't want anybody to change or edit. You can lock the sheet based on certain criteria. So you have file level protection which restricts opening or editing the file by unauthorized users. We have workbook level, it prevents the structure changes like adding, deleting sheets. So the user cannot remove sheets or add new one. Then worksheet level. So you don't want the user to make some changes on that sheet. You specify We're going to see how to do that. You can say you don't want it to edit cells, you don't want it to do sorting or formatting, and so on and so forth. So, worksheet protection, you can specify which cell can be edited, whether users can insert, delete rows or columns, whether sorting and filtering is allowed. Now, to enable worksheet protection, you can simply go to the review tab. Sorry. You can simply go to the review tab and then you click protect sheet. For example, in this sheet that I have now, if I want to lock it, I can simply come to review tab. Under the protect section, you will see protect sheet. Here is protect workbook. So if you don't want the workbook to be tampered with, you don't want people to delete sheet or add sheet, you say protect workbook. If you want only the sheet that you are working currently on to be protected, you click protect sheet. So if you click on it now, it will give you options. Number one is to add password. Now take note that when you add any password, if you forget it, there is no recovery password in this one. You have lost that file. So you add password. In fact, if I add password now, if I say, wait, let me make sure I add what I know, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I click OK now, it will warn me, caution, if you lose or forget the password, it cannot be recovered. It is advisable to keep a list of passwords and their corresponding workbook and sheet names in a safe place. Remember that passwords are case sensitive. So there is no recovery password in this one. If it's forgotten, then the file is forgotten as well. You cannot retrieve it again. So, but I don't want to do it now. I click cancel. Now, the next question here is that protect worksheet and content of logged cell. So once you check this place now, it will protect worksheet and content of logged cell. What do we mean by that? Logged cell. Um, wait. Okay, let me cancel this. I'll be coming back to that. If I click on, let's say, this column now, I right click and I say format cells. Oh, no, this is what I'm not, no, what I'm looking for. Okay, let me just do, click on one cell and then I come here and I say, um, mhm, you know what I'm looking for. Okay, first of all, let me use an empty cell to do that. Format cells, pick from drop down list. Good data. Oh, let me use this. Still taking me, I'm not looking at. Wait. Well, um, okay, I will come back to this. I'll come back to this. I'll come back to this to show you what is meant by lock and unlock cell. Okay, but one of the ways I can do that, let me drop a, excuse me, let me insert a shape and see if it will solve my problem. In size and properties, if you come now in this place, if you come in text options, okay, if you come in text options, text outline, is not it, is not it. Shape options. Okay. Hmm. No blah blah blah. Don't no line. Okay. Hmm. Now under properties, you can see I have locked checked. Is that okay? I have locked checked. So usually most of these cells are locked by default in these properties. In these properties, locked, locked text, blah blah blah. So the property is having locked check. So what? Let me avoid collapsing. Let me avoid collapsing. So now what happens is that by the time you come up to review and then select protect worksheet, now it's asking you protect worksheet and content of locked cells, meaning that it will just protect all the cells because by default all the cells are locked, are having locked properties. Are you getting me? All the cells are having locked properties. So by the time you check this protect worksheet and content of locked cells, it will just by default protect all of them. So and then other questions you may need to now answer is to allow all users of this worksheet to do what and what. In the first option, select locked cells. Now, if you say select locked cells, meaning that you want them, all the cells that are locked, which is all the cells by default, you should be able to select it. In that case, you shouldn't select this one. Is that okay? So you want to allow them, or if even if you select it and then say select locked cells, you want them to be able to select locked cells, and then you want them to select unlocked cells as well. And then, but you don't want them to format the cells. You don't want them to format the columns. You don't want them to format rows. You don't want them to start columns. Okay, let me just set insert columns. Let me select. So I want them to insert columns. So if I click, all other things that I did not check is what I don't want them to do. So if I click OK now, you can see you can select any of these, but you cannot. Excuse me. Okay, I was clicking on this when I did that. Let me unprotect first. Protect, allow all users. Okay, I selected insert column. So I want them to insert column, but I don't want them to insert rows. So if I click OK again, I can click here and insert what? Columns. But if I click here now and right click, you can see I cannot insert rows. The rows is not showing up because I locked it and I protected it in such a way that the users cannot insert columns. I mean insert rows rather. That excuse me. That is what the protect sheet or book does for you. I want to close this. I don't want to save it. So I believe we are together. Now, the next we'll have here is just a summary of what we have done so far. Learn for taking length of character, for concatenating, text join to join why you are able to indicate the delimiter, today to get today's date, and then weekday to get a particular number of the number for day of the week, and then work days to give you working days between from a particular start date, given if there is any holidays, if you provide as an optional argument. Now, there is a question here. Catalog at data, sorry, colleague at data co heard that you are a bit of a whiz kid with Excel. They come to you to learn what function belong to text category and which one belong to date and time category. Uh, so the instruction is to classify each function based on which function category it belongs. So if you go to your data camp, you should have this classification done to complete the exercise. So as you can see, if I should clear this thing now, I should reset it. So the exercise here is for me to drag and drop this thing, whether it is a text or whether it's a date and time function. So if it's a text function, I drop it here. If it's a date and time function, I drop it here. So this is upper function. Upper function is a text function for changing your text to upper case. Workday is a date function to get the number of working day, the number of working day rather. Today is also a date function to get today's date. Concat is a text function with concatenation. Year is a date function. And finally, we have learn. Learn is a text function for checking the length of characters in your text. So if you submit, that marks and we'll go to the next exercise. This is a data camp demo. So we're working with exercise here. So now this exercise, the background says, okay, first of all, let me go through the objective here. Now we are looking at equal length, clean text data in Excel using learn and train. So the objective says ensure consistency in state abbreviation by removing what unwanted characters and standardize country names for accurate analysis. So we want to make sure there is no leading or trailing spaces by using len to verify if there is and then trim to remove it, to remove any space before or after the text in our columns. So um, let's work with instruction here. So the background says the IT department sent you an email. Some values in the customer state column could have unwanted characters due to a processing error with the customer information database. This could be an issue. You must use some text category function to clean the data and continue the data preparation process. We are working with 2-1 datasets. I come up to my workbook and I have a 2-1, this 2-1 equivalent. Double click to open it. So I have it here. Now, the instructions say remove any filter currently applied in a customer sheet. That must come from the previous exercises. So we'll go to the customer sheet. For us to remove all any filter that is applied, come to the under editing section while you are still on home tab. You click sort and filter, and see clear. So once you click clear, if there is any filtering that was done, it will just clear it for you. As you can see, it is removed. That's why we can now see all of our data set. But before, it looks as if it is filtered to select only water prints. If you remember the exercise we did, that the last question was to look for water prints. So that is where this filtering was done. So again, I clear it. I cleared all the filtering by clicking on clear. So we have the complete data set. Now, having done that, we want a new column called length check. Why would you want a length check? We want to check the length of character in a particular column by creating something in this new column called length check. So I copy it. Excuse me. So I copy it and want it to be next to customer states. What do we want to do there? We want to calculate the length of the text string in each cell in customer state. So what is inside customer state? The state of the customer. So we want to check how many character that is there, and we want to use the column, a new column called length check to do that. So we'll go to the data, look for customer state. This customer state. So after it, we'll create a column, and then we call the column header length check. I want to format it to be the same thing with others. So I've copied the format and paste as we've done before. Now, next, I come up to, it said in the customer state column, you would expect to either see two letter abbreviation for the customer state or blanks. The expected length of the values would be either 0 or 2. What do you mean by that? Um, Look at the customer state. You are seeing PR, 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 NYTX, YTX, FLPA. So all through is only two, and this one is MN. It's only two characters you are seeing almost all through, not almost all through, only two characters. So if you check the length, you should be expecting 2 or 0 if there is no state. For the records, let's check the this thing. If you filter, if you click on the filter, this drop down, and then you see that there is blank. So because maybe there are cells that are blank, meaning that there is no character, no letter, nothing is inside. So because of those cells that are blank, so you will see either 0 or 2. 0 or 2. But unfortunately, if we do that, we may be surprised to see something else. So the instructions say that we should use the new column. So while we insert new column between the customer state and length check, sorry, first of all, we use the length to check the length of the character, and then between customer state and length check, we need another column called cost state. So first of all, let us do the length check. To do the length check, we are using the word the length function. We tell Excel that we want to type a formula by saying equal to, and I say length, and I say open brackets, and I select what I want to check, this one, no, just one cell, and then I click enter. So you can see it is showing me 3, whereas what your visible, your eye is seeing physically is what? PR, which is just 2 character. So meaning that there is what? A space. And if you look well, you see there is a space before the P. If you do the remaining one by filling, if you double click on that small this thing, you have it that some of them are even 4, like PR, the second PR, meaning that there is a space before the P and a space after R. That's why we have 4. So we have between 3, 4, 2, 2, thereabout, and then also 0 for the blank cells. So want to solve this problem. So the next instruction says we should create another cell in between. So we have this cell in between. And what are we going to call this cell? We want to call it cost state. Want to call it cost what? State. Want to call it cost state. So I click on this, sorry, on the header, paste, but I want to copy the formatting of others. Sorry. So I do this, copy this, and put this. Now, um, so what we want to do here, using the new column, remove all unwanted spaces from the values customer state, and that is the trim function that is useful in this case. So we enter here and say equal to, and say trim. Let me use cap to trim, and then select the cell in this in customer state, the first cell. So if you do that, like click enter, it will automatically remove the space between before and after. If I double click on this small square to fill the remaining one for me, so I double click, I have all of this. I have all of this. So if I should check again by removing F2 and put G2. So instead of F2 and I put what? G2. I put G2. If I click enter, you can see the 4 now have changed to 2. If I do it for the remaining one by filling it all through, you can see everything now is 2. If I click on this drop down arrow, I am seeing only 0 and 2. 0 for the ones that are blank and 2 for the rest because they are just two character. So this country column is using two character to represent the customer. Sorry, the customer state is using two character to represent the customer state. So, and that we have done. Now, next, they say to check if the new customer still have values with no trailing spaces, adjust the formula in the column length, which we have just done. We have used the other formula to do the length. We have adjusted the length formula using the column, that is this particular column. The column where we use trim function to create it. That is this one equals to state. And with that, this is now okay. So the next information we have is that we should check that the new column is correct by ensuring the length check now only have 0 and 2. And we have done that by checking the filtering options we have, and we saw that we have only 0 and 2 options. Now, and then we ensure that cost state column is populated with values only and not the formula used in previous steps. So, and then we remove any unwanted column. So what do we mean by that? If you click inside this cost state now, what you are seeing inside here is a formula. But we don't want it to be formula, we want it to be the value that is there. So to do that, just simply highlight the whole column and copy it. Click Ctrl C and copy it. Then after that, the next thing you want to do is to in the same column paste it as values. Don't use Ctrl V. If you use Ctrl V, you're still facing the same problem. Now, under the paste option on clipboard by the extreme left at the top, click on the drop down arrow and you will see paste values. The first option, paste values V. So once you click on it, you have pasted only the values without the formulas. So if you click inside it now, you are now seeing PR instead of formula. So that's what instruction is telling us, to make sure that what we have in this customers cost state column is what? The values and not the formulas we entered. Is that okay? Now, the next thing, we remove your wanted column. Your wanted column is this one, customer state, which is the one that is not correct, and the length check. We don't need it anymore. So we remove them. They are wanted column. Use control and check all of them and remove them. And I click delete. Excuse me. Okay, let's remove them one after the other. I wipe this one too. So we have just the customer state, which is the correct information. Now next, the customer country column shows the United States of America as EE.UU. We need to correct it. So wherever we see EE.UU, you will do what? You put USA in the customer country column. So using these options, in the customer country column, using the options available in the find and select section. So you can achieve that by simply going to select the customer country. First of all, I want to copy this value so that I will not look for it. EE.UU dot. So remember, we were going to replace it with what? USA. So I've copied it. So I highlight this column and I come to find and select and then use find and replace. So if I click replace, I will say find what? What is asking me, what am I trying to find? That is find what. I paste what I'm looking for, which is ee.uu full stop. Now what am I replacing it with? I want to replace it with what? USA. So we're replacing with USA, and I say replace all. Or you can decide to say find all. So if you click find all, it has found all the ee.uu, and then you can now say replace all. So all done. We made 516 replacement. So there is 516 records that was replaced. So I close this. So based on our instruction, uh, we are asked to find out how many customer does Dataco have in USA. From the replacement we had, that which is 516, we already know that it's 516. And if you do not remember that, you can simply come here and select on that is for you to filter. Click on this drop down arrow and select all, and then select only what USA and click OK. And if you do that and highlight the same country column, you'll be seeing count equals to 517. Why is it 517? It's because the column header is also highlighted. So remove the column header, you are having 516. So that is why the answer is 516. We'll submit it and go to the next. Is that okay? So I don't know if there's any questions so far. I don't know if there's any questions so far. If there is, please unmute and ask, or you drop your question in comment section. So if there's any question, unmute yourself and ask, or you drop in comment section. I'm waiting if there is any question. Okay, in the absence of any question, we want to continue. So now, so we have completed this particular exercise. The next one is step, what is it again? Sorry. Okay. All right. Okay, this one we just completed. So the next is this joining together customer address data. So the objective here is to learn how to concatenate, join multiple columns of location related data, street, city, zip code, and so on into a single customer address column. So clean up unnecessary fields and protect worksheet content. So we want to continue with our content here. So we want to look. So the background says location data such as the street, city, zip code, and state dominate the information that data code, that is the name of the company we're working with, the data sets, has sent you regarding their customers. This data is all contained in different columns. That is the street, the city, the zip code, they are all in different columns. So although some more specific field like street and zip code will be useful for making or billing it, or billing, it doesn't necessarily need to be split out. Would you conduct an analysis involving the customer zip code or street name? There's a more work to do on the customer sheet. So we're working with two underscore joining together. So in this case now, we don't need it to be splitted, but there are cases where you need them to be splitted, where you want to maybe work on a particular column, like the states. or city. Want to use them to do your analysis, you have to split instead of having it grouped. So what I can do now is to open, I close this one and open the workbook 2 underscore 2 joining. So I go to this 2 underscore 2 joining. I have this. So um, the instruction says clear any filter in the customer sheet and add a new column after customer segment. Remember, we filtered in the previous exercise to have only USA. So to clear, we come to the clear, sorry, we go to filter and then clear. We cleared everything, everything. Now, the next instruction says the new column will display, sorry, excuse me. So after clearing the sheet, we add a new column after customer segment. What is the name of the new column? Customer address. After customer segment, we're adding a new column called customer address. So I come to the data set and locate the new column, customer segment. This is customer segment. Is that okay? Add a column after it, insert, and I put this. It's going to be supposed to be double S. So let me edit it with double S. Sorry, not capital. Now I want to format it to be the same with others. Format this with this. Now I I have that in the next instruction. We say the new column will display the customer street, city, and zip code in that order. So we want to bring in the street, city, and zip code in the same column, which is this new column that we called customer address. Now, each text string in the new column should be separated by a comma and then a space. Include any empty cells in the new column formula. So I want to include any empty cells. So the function that will help you to do this is not concat. Concatenate will do it for you, but it will not solve the problem of the second part of this instruction, which says include any empty cells in the new column formula. So we are going to achieve that using excuse me. We're going to achieve that using, excuse me, which number was I? So we're going to achieve that using text join. Oh, that reminds me. This is one of the functions that is not available. Okay, let me type and see. Equal to text. You can see we don't have it in the 2021 worksheet. So what I want to do now, let me use the online Excel. Like I've said before, I was having issue changing the Excel from 2021 to, but I'll still rectify that. It's just a matter of time. Now I want to Google Excel online, excuse me. So online Excel. Shoot. So So now, okay, I've opened this before here. Let me open it by just clicking. Good. So we'll have this. Um, Let me delete this because that's what we're trying to do. Okay. But I think this will give us a small trouble because we may not know the steps that we need to revert to be able to complete this. So let me just upload a fresh workbook. Or let me. Which one should I do? Let me create a blank workbook. Wow, is it trying to take a little time? So, excuse me. So I'm looking for something. Okay. So let's just go straight forward here. Let me first of all delete this. Let me delete this. Well, why am I even deleting it since we are still going to create it? I want to copy everything here and paste it here. Okay. So now we have the customer address. So the instruction says we should this instruction says we should do what? In the new column, the customer in the new column will display what? Customer street, city, and zip code in this order. That is in that order, customer street first, then city, and zip code. And each text string in the new column should be separated by a comma and then a space. So I want the empty cells to be included. So the rows that contain empty cells should be part of the concatenation. So I come up here now and I type equal to, remember we are using text join. Okay. Text join. As you can see, we have text join here. So select it. So it's requiring these parameters: delimiter, ignore empty, text one, and so on. So if I click on because we are joining it with what is it again? What was the instruction? Because we are joining it with what, comma and then a space. So I'll come here as the first parameter, inside quotation mark I put comma and then a space, and I close the quotation mark, and then I'm done with the first parameter. Now the second parameter is what? Ignore empty cells. Do I want to ignore empty cells? True. The instruction says we should ignore what? Empty cells. Now, the next parameter says we should include what? The text strings to join. So what are we joining? First of all, we are joining the customer what? As a reminder, customer street, city, and zip code. Customer street. Where is the street? This is the customer street. So I click on this and I say comma, and then city. City, if you look at the instruction, city, after that we'll have the zip code. Where is the city? This is the city. I click on the first cell on city and then put comma again, and next is the zip code. This is the zip code. The zip code. So if you do all of that and click enter, got it. You have what? Let me make this something to be fitted by double clicking on this. Uh, so so you can see what it did is that it extracted the the street. Is what I was looking for. So it extracted what, the street, which is what, 4692 jagged ticket, comma with space as requested, and then it added what, the customer city, which is cargoes or cargos or whatever, and then comma and a space, and then added what, the postal code, which was 725. So with that, we now have customer address. Now finally, okay, not yet, we say populate the entire column address and resize it to ensure all the information is visible. We have resized it, but we need to populate it now. So all I need, I just double click on this square like something while I hover on it. Oh, sorry, that's not what I was looking for. So it has populated for me for the rest. I can resize it again by double clicking on this. So, if I double click on that line between the two columns or any two columns, it will resize everything for me to make sure that all the information is contained properly. Now, it says also ensure that your new column only has values contained and not formulas. So we need to copy and paste as we did before, and then delete other columns that are not required. And since we have created a customer address, so what we need now is to just copy, sorry, not here. What we need is we go to the online Excel, copy what we have here by pressing Control C. Is that okay? Control C, and then look at paste option here. Click the drop down arrow, you go to paste special, so you see values only, you paste values only. So if you do that, if you click inside now, or if any of the cell, you are no longer seeing formulas, you are seeing the correct values as requested. And then finally, we delete those columns that is no longer necessary, which is what? Oh, my battery is going down. We're already rounding up. Now, I want to delete the customer what city because we don't need it anymore. Delete column E. And I want also delete zip street and delete street. Where is it? Delete G and then zip code. Even though you can highlight and delete all of them if there is no um, conflict in doing that. So that is done. Then final instruction says we should okay. We have reduced the number of columns and created column that will be of use for both data analysis and for other company activities. Now is a good time to protect the content of the sheet. So protect customer worksheet to only allow user to select locked and unlocked cells and format cells, column and rows. So we want to protect the locked and unlocked cells and set password to be what? Customers. I want to set the password to the customers. So just go there and come to review. If you come to review, you will see protection. So on the protection, you say protect, sorry, review. So you can, in this case, this is 365 letters online. But if you go to this thing, you will see a different uh, feature. So just click on manage protection. So if you click on manage protection now, you say protect this sheet to prevent unwanted changes. You can unlock specific ranges for editing while it is on. So um, you cannot say add password if you want, which we say customers confirm it, which is this one. Add this one again, and then you can save. So uh, now the options is to select for now locked and unlocked cells. So it's selected by default. Click save. So if you do that, you see that users can only select locked and unlocked cells. They cannot delete, they cannot, edit, for any, do any editing and all that. So the final question says, how many columns remain in the protected sheet? If you count it, you see that, sorry, not this one. You count it, you see that we're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's why we have 6 as the answer. We're going to stop here for today. I want to believe that it is clear and okay. So tomorrow we're going to continue. Okay, say what is the essence of adding the column together? Is it to collapse the table or what? I've said that sometimes you may want your address to be, that is the whole address for customer or whatever type of table you have, to be in one column, and sometimes you might want it to be splitted. So but in this case now is a situation where you want it to be in one column, so you can easily, send address of a customer or something like that. So it just depends on what the company need from your data, from the data set at the moment. That's why it is done that way. I'm going to stop here for today. Tomorrow we'll continue from where we stopped. We'll attend to questions first before tomorrow class begins. So please, let's see tomorrow, same time, 6:30 p.m. You're welcome, Shola. God bless you. So we continue tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining. See you tomorrow.